March 27, 2026, the NRM Parliamentary Caucus met at State House Entebbe. After that meeting, Government Chief Whip Hamson Obua spoke to the press and gave the first clear details about the bill. He confirmed that the bill has been approved by Cabinet and endorsed by the NRM Caucus. Its core purpose is to regulate foreign financial inflows into Uganda. Obua said the bill seeks to operationalize Article 1, Sub-Article 1 of Uganda's constitution, which states that all power belongs to the people. He justified the bill by pointing to similar laws in the United Kingdom, saying, "We are not reinventing the wheel." According to reports from that meeting, the bill is expected to include a requirement that any organization receiving foreign funds must disclose the source, amount, and purpose within 14 days of receipt. Powers for ministers to cap the proportion of foreign funding that organizations may receive. An outright ban on foreign funds intended to influence political processes, elections, or undermine national sovereignty. Now that's huge. The bill is also being referred to in some reports as the National Sovereignty Bill 2026.
The National Sovereignty Bill seeks to 1. Operationalize or reinforce Article 1, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, which states, "All power belongs to the people who shall exercise their sovereignty in accordance with the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda." 2. The proposed bill seeks to complement other existing laws, like the NGO Act. 3. The proposed bill reinforces the standard practice. We were colonized by the British. The UK has a similar legislation. So we are not inventing the wheel. Number 4, the proposed bill seeks to regulate foreign financial inflows. Those inflows coming into Uganda must be for legitimate reasons and not harmful reasons. So in a nutshell, that is the summary of the national sovereignty. We want sovereignty 100%, and we want to secure that through this law.
What the bill aims to do, the government's stated goal is to prevent foreign interference in Uganda's affairs. By citing the UK as an example, the government argues that this is standard practice for sovereign nations. The focus on foreign money in politics and on harmful funding taps into a genuine concern that external actors should not dictate Uganda's internal matters. Potential benefit: if implemented transparently and with strong safeguards, the bill could achieve legitimate objectives. It could increase transparency around foreign funding, allowing Ugandans to know which organizations are funded by whom. It could prevent foreign entities from bankrolling political campaigns or destabilizing activities. It could reinforce the principle that Uganda's political and policy decisions should be made by Ugandans, not by external donors.
We are already frozen, so I don't know whether they are freezing had effect, as well as the accounts of the NGO leaders. The Financial Intelligence Authority also claimed to be investigating terrorism activities by NGOs. So the statement we released on Monday was titled, "NGOs are not terrorists." The work of the affected NGOs ranges from governance broadly, creating platforms for citizens to engage in their governance, but also human rights, elections, media monitoring, as well as accountability, demanding for accountability. This is the class of NGOs that are affected by the suspensions or freezes. So government claims that these NGOs are involved in activities that are likely to affect or that might affect the security of the state, subversive activities. The background to this NGO suspension stems from 2012, when the space of NGOs started shrinking out of extreme monitoring by government, extreme scrutiny, especially the same class of NGOs as mentioned, those which work on governance broadly and the specific areas mentioned of elections, human rights, accountability, and campaign finance monitoring. So when you look at this trend, in 2017, from 2012, we had the break-ins of NGOs that were spearheaded by security agencies, break-ins of Human Rights Network. I don't know how many of you remember that organization. Break-ins of many human rights organizations, including where the CCTV footage existed, and police has never made any single arrest of the people that were breaking in government, the NGO offices. From the break-ins, the harassment or surveillance graduated to the siege of NGOs. In 2017, during the campaign on removal of age limit, we witnessed a siege of Action Aid officers, Great Lakes Institute for Strategic Studies, and the offices of Uhuru Institute, where government temporarily held staff and laptops were taken. Some of
reasons for concern. Despite the government's framing, the details that have emerged raise serious questions. The 14-day disclosure rule is a trap for most civil society organizations, universities, and media houses that rely on grants. Reporting requirements are complex. A 14-day window is unrealistically short. Missing the deadline could be used as a legal excuse to suspend or shut down organizations without proving any wrongdoing. Ministerial discretion to cap foreign funding creates a weapon. Giving a minister the power to set limits on foreign funding for any organization means the government can financially cripple groups it does not like, human rights defenders, independent media, or opposition-aligned entities without needing parliamentary approval for a court order. The law would earn the executive a tool to pick winners and losers based on political loyalty. The ban on funds that influence political processes is dangerously broad. What counts as influencing a political process? Voter education, civic awareness campaigns, advocacy for a specific law, legal aid for opposition supporters. Under a broad interpretation, almost any activity by a non-governmental organization could be deemed political. This vagueness invites selective enforcement against government critics. The constitutional justification is ironic. Article 1 of the Constitution establishes the sovereignty of the people, a law that gives the executive branch the power to decide which organizations can operate based on their funding sources, does not protect the sovereignty of the people. It concentrates power in the hands of a few officials. The political context matters. This bill follows the UPDF Amendment Bill 2025, which allowed military courts to try civilians despite a Supreme Court ruling declaring such trials unconstitutional. That law was widely condemned as a direct assault on judicial authority. Now, barely a year later, a second bill is being fast-tracked that would give the executive sweeping control over civil society. The pattern suggests a steady erosion of institutional checks on executive power. Why Ugandans should worry? The bill has not yet been formally tabled in Parliament, but the NRM caucus has resolved to support it with an overwhelmingly parliamentary majority. Its passage is almost certain. Ugandans should worry because this bill, if passed, would allow the executive to financially suffocate an organization it views as critical without needing evidence of illegality, create a chilling effect where media, NGOs, and even academic institutions self-censor to avoid being targeted over their funding, further weaken the already fragile space for dissent and accountability in Uganda, set a precedent where laws are passed not to protect citizens, but to protect the government from scrutiny. The government calls this sovereignty protection, could they call a tool to suppress opposition and consolidate power, because the full text has not yet been released for public debate. Ugandans have every reason to demand transparency and to question whether the bill truly serves the people or only those in power.